Hi guys. Many of you would request me to react to things in the past and I always said no. I didn't want to inadvertently send hate to any creators I reacted to. I decided to do this once because you guys deserve it for sticking by me, and also because I don't have much to say myself that hasn't already been said. Please take a moment to read my latest community post where I elaborate on this sentiment. I'd just ask that you guys not direct negativity to anyone who may say something you disagree with in the upcoming TikToks. That kind of collateral damage is exactly what I'm trying to avoid. Speaking of collateral damage, here's the first clip.
I'm not going to be at this all day, but listen, you're right. You're right, because you see how you guys can get it when it's about new jeans? Then you should be able to get it when the word is used about Lesserafim and ILLIT. This essentially means victim of circumstance. There are innocent victims in all of this. It's so selective is all I'm saying. If you guys can understand it about new jeans, then understand it about Lesserafim and ILLIT. The word does not have a negative connotation. It just simply means that they were affected by what was going on, the drama and controversy around this whole situation.
So, quick backstory is that this woman is going viral on Twitter for her defense of New Jeans, in which she addressed ILLIT and Lesserafim as collateral damage. The thing is, though, I understand what she's trying to say. By definition, that's what they are in this whole New Jeans fiasco, collateral damage. I also don't believe the New Jeans members just woke up one day like, let's create hate trains for ILLIT and Lesserafim. I just don't think it happened that way. However, I also think people are misunderstanding the position of Fear Nots and Glitz as well. Those fandoms probably reacted angrily to the term collateral damage because it doesn't encapsulate how malicious they believe these attacks were. Belift Labs straight up told the court that Min Heejin acted maliciously to attack ILLIT for her own reasons. Source Music put out a statement saying, the use of Lesserafim members' names in court was irresponsible and serious. There's a perceived maliciousness that they probably feel is ignored, so I agree they'd be considered collateral damage, but I also understand that these fandoms are a bit touchy when it comes to simply writing off their experience as that.
Girls are currently being suppressed by an injunction that not only pauses their careers, it actively restricts their autonomy. These girls signed contracts when they were young, contracts that left them with no real negotiating power, no wiggle room, no way out, and no control of their futures. And that alone is a problem. But what is way worse is there's so many people that are rooting for the downfall of these girls just because of a piece of paper. You know what I think about that contract? Fuck that contract. People are completely ignoring the mental health, the aspirations, the well-beings of 5 young women in the industry because of a piece of paper. We're watching a situation where young artists have become trapped in a situation that is toxic to them, unsafe, and outright unwelcoming to them. And instead of giving them a fair way to move forward, they're being forced to fight for something that is simply as the right to work under conditions that feel fair and safe to them. They're in a either I have you or nobody does situation. They're in an abusive relationship, and there's droves of young people and people on this internet rooting it on. At the end of the day, no contract should have the power to strip away someone's basic rights, to make a living, to create, to exist without fear of retaliation. These girls should have been given a chance to terminate their contracts and at least retain some level of integrity over their work. They have sweat, blood, and tears invested in these companies. They have made this company millions of dollars. And you're going to tell me there's no room to negotiate and barter themselves out of this contract? Then this is, in fact, a slave contract.
I actually don't agree with the fans sending protest trucks telling the girls to return to Ador. There is no way on God's green earth that those girls can stay in Hybe. They should, however, speak with the company to push for a settlement and part ways as amicably as possible. The problem is not that the girls weren't given a chance to negotiate termination. The problem is that they didn't even attempt to take that chance. As far as we know, New Jeans never sat down with the company and said, "Hey, we don't care what you guys do, we just want out, so let's hash out some terms together and part ways." What they did was hold a press conference to say, "We're leaving. You guys suck, so you won't be getting a dime from us, goodbye losers." It's easy to say fuck that contract from a fan perspective, but the implication of this goes beyond New Jeans. That's basically saying fuck the entire business ecosystem that Korea's economy relies on. You're essentially asking a door to betray their shareholders, disregard stakeholders, lay off their staff, and potentially allow the K-pop industry to collapse from this precedent. That strategy is a non-starter. New Jeans not only have the right to want out, they actually deserve a chance to get out. They just went about it the wrong way, and it's unfortunate that suggesting alternative ways of getting there is seen as hating or being a hype stan.
I've finally come around. I really don't think New Jeans is in the right hands. Now, apologies, I just washed my hair for my unkemptness, but let's go back a few steps before we get to my thoughts and conclusions. So over the weekend, NJZ, this is an important point to underline, NJZ performed at Complex Con. They were booked as NJZ, they were promoted as NJZ, thousands of people showed up for NJZ. They performed covers and a new song, and they didn't perform any New Jeans songs, and then used that moment to announce that they're taking a hiatus because of an injunction preventing them from performing, which one is unprofessional to use this stage to kind of as your kind of press conference, but two, it begs the whole question about should they have even taken the booking in the first place? Because up until this point, with all the drama that's going on with Adele, with Min Ji-hin, I've been thinking, I feel sorry for these young women. They are young, they're naive, and they are stuck in the middle of this corporate politics. And now I'm like, don't shit the bed. You are in legal and financial trouble here, and you're only making things worse off the advice of the people around you, because this injunction said you cannot perform under any iteration formation of this group unless it is New Jeans. And they received that injunction and then still went on stage and went, "Hi, we're NJZ." And I remember when they announced that they're coming back and they're renaming themselves NJZ, and their little mascot went from a bunny to a cat that looked pretty much identical. I'm not a lawyer, but I looked at it and went, that doesn't feel like a smart move, does it? Because it's not like you're calling yourself Black Cat or something completely different. You're calling yourself basically New Jeans, and you're performing and doing the dances of New Jeans, which are copyrighted by Adore, and going out there going like, it's all fine, it's all good. Most people would look at that situation and go, is this okay? Now I'm like, okay, you might be young women, you might not have a lot of experience in this world, some of them aren't even 20 yet, but there comes a point where you are undoing so much potential goodwill by doing essentially illegal activity and rebelling against the law and performing against these wishes and building a stronger case for Hybe to say, look, they don't respect us, they don't respect this, and they're just renaming themselves and using our copyright and enjoying everything off the back of it without us getting any financial gain from it. Because if they're doing Complex Con, are they going to pass that money through to Hybe? I'm assuming definitely not.
This is Derek G., a music journalist who has actually interviewed New Jeans in the past, and he's a huge fan of the group. What he's saying is what many fans like myself have been for months. We just want the girls to make better decisions and achieve a better outcome. It's easy to say they're just young, but they are people with their own autonomy. They will choose what they want to choose at the end of the day. Fans should also be allowed to express their opinions, especially when they see a situation heading somewhere that doesn't look good.
So a video of Blackpink pre-debut resurfaced yesterday, or should I just say got leaked, because that's exactly what happened. However, 3 out of the 4 members were seen saying the N-word in the videos. 3 out of the 4 members were seen saying the N-word on multiple occasions. One of those members being Lisa. Obviously, as a fan of Blackpink, as a big Lily, a big Lisa stan, and obviously being black, I thought it would only be right that I give my own personal opinion about the situation and how I feel regarding it. I just want to make this really, really clear. I will not be defending Lisa and defending her actions in saying that word. It's a very highly offensive racial slur, and under any context, it is wrong to say it if you are not black. In typical K-pop fashion, there has been a lot of defending and dismissing of what was said. A lot of people coming to the girls' aid and claiming that because this incident happened 10 years ago, it is not a big deal because, quote unquote, racism didn't exist 10 years ago. Initially, as a black lady, when I first saw that video of Lisa saying the N-word, I was shocked. Rightfully so, I was shocked, taken aback. However, ultimately, to be very much honest, I wasn't really all that fazed. Until I started to go on the internet expressing my frustrations as a black fan and had a bunch of people within the fandom, obviously non-black, both being dismissive and downplaying just how bad the situation was. In some of the words that I've seen, literally they have point blank said, "We do not care." People are being so dismissive and insensitive, acting as though the girls saying that word is not a big deal and essentially telling black people to just get over it. Seeing both the reactions from K-pop fans and solo fans within the fandom really just made it very, very much apparent to me that you guys will never and have never cared about black people, the black struggle, especially when it comes towards the disrespect of black people within K-pop and the fandoms. And although I am a Lisa stan, I am black first. And so although I can look at the situation objectively, regarding their lack of control regarding the situations, the songs that they picked, the fact that they're in Asian countries, the fact that they were young, etc. And I do understand that there are multiple factors that go into this. However, I just want to make it really, really clear that regardless of age, what they did was wrong, and that is my stance.
This girl articulated the point very well. I obviously get that the Blackpink members were young and in a trainee system. They were also saying the word in the context of music, and the girls never intended to offend. I can acknowledge those things and simultaneously acknowledge that these aren't excuses. These videos shouldn't exist, they never should have used the word, and the company should take serious measures to reform their system. If you're going to be taking so much from black culture, then cultural sensitivity training should be bare minimum. How is it not common sense that this is rule number 1? How hard is it to tell these girls to skip that word? YG, do better.
New Jeans is probably the best example of black appreciation in K-pop. They hopped on solo stages in Japan in front of 19,000 people, and 4 out of the 5 members performed R&B songs. Danielle performed TLC, Hani performed Ghost Town DJs, Hae performed SWV, okay, Hae, and Hae Rin performed The Internet. The Internet! Oh. Just an immaculate collection of black R&B songs. These are girls who have obviously been influenced by black culture, both in their music and in their style. But do you see how that appreciation transcends just how it's useful for them and their aesthetic? They put a black person as their main character in a music video. They work with black producers, including Pharrell, and they're constantly recommending and displaying music by black people. And that's how easy it is for these acts to show that beyond just what it is for their aesthetic, how they actually appreciate black culture and the impact that black culture has had on their music and their success. You'll ask other obviously influenced by black culture groups to name an artist, to name who they're inspired by, and what will they say? I'm inspired by hip hop. Girl, what about hip-hop? Who in hip-hop? That's so general and vague. But this is what the bar is when we say that we just don't want our culture being used. If it's really appreciation, then show me. Show me that you actually have some knowledge or some depth about the culture that you were using for your aesthetic. Show it to me.
Okay, so do you guys remember my defense of ILLIT video? I shared a photo of SWV in a collage of artists that New Jeans' music and concept was clearly inspired by. My point was that nothing is wholesale original, and ILLIT being influenced by New Jeans is the same as New Jeans being influenced by Y2K and black culture. We shouldn't demonize artists for taking after those who came before them. That's literally the nature of creativity. Well, I had folks in the comments talking about how the artists I mentioned were New Goo and I was race baiting and yada yada. Lo and behold, New Jeans went on stage at Complex Con and performed music from the same artists I mentioned like SWV. This was their form of homage to the music that opened the door for their concept. I just need every brain-dead fan who is in my comments talking that shit to come to the front because y'all look hella stupid right now.
Now, I generally consider it bad form to jump in on beef that another creator is in if I myself have not been involved in it. And trust, I've had enough beef with New Jeans obsessed 30-year-old women on TikTok to last me a lifetime. But I have thoughts about this Tally Toki situation. I've had people DM me and be like, hey man, why aren't you talking about the New Jeans thing? You usually talk about this sort of thing. And there are two reasons. One, I wanted to wait till the final court case was sorted out. And two, I fear Tally Toki and her nut job fan base. Also, a lot of you are having a weird reaction to the fact that she met up with them. And it's not even like, wow, I think that's like kind of inappropriate. Or like, why would they want to meet up with her? Which I'll get to. It's like, wow, that's so unfair to fans who have to pay to see them at fan signs. Like, that's just not it. Don't take on that mentality. Like, what, are they supposed to bill her for time spent? Should idols carry around those little square credit card readers so they can charge people for every selfie or autograph given out outside of a fan sign? No, that's stupid. The same goes for New Jeans. They're technically at liberty to hang out with whoever they want for free. Now, that being said, I think this was inappropriate and potentially dangerous. Thankfully, it all turned out okay and everybody's okay, but like, oh my god, if an official idol account reaches out to you and asks to meet up, don't do it. It's usually a hack or a scam. Oh my god, please do not do that. In this case, it was real. And you know, I'm conflicted, right? Because this whole time, I've been operating under the assumption that, like, listen, I don't really agree with how New Jeans are going about this, but I generally believe they had good intentions and were, like, good people and just kind of being misled by the adults around them. But then they, like, reached out to Tally first. And it's like, I get it, because, like, she's a completely uncritical believer of literally every word that comes out of their mouths. But she's also, like, a bad person. And she's been that. Like, she's been a genuinely toxic person since before we knew about the racism. Which, by the way, hilarious, and by hilarious, I mean very deeply, genuinely sad, that she released a full-page apology to New Jeans and Bunnies for her meeting up with them getting leaked, but literally not a word to Black people for regularly saying the N-word as a 19-year-old. Like, as in, when asked about it, she said, well, I didn't say it in a derogatory way, so it's not a problem, and or real bunnies know that people are capable of change, and I am a different person now, not an actual sorry. So she really cares about bunnies, but if you're a Black bunny, she cares about you significantly less. Now, speaking of her toxic internet presence, she literally doxed Elizabeth Park. Like, she doxed her, she posted her place of work online, and she encouraged people to mass email her job to get her fired because she had an opinion about New Jeans that Tally Toki disagreed with. That is the kind of person that she has been publicly online as Tally Toki for a year now, and that is the kind of person that Hani and Danielle initiated contact with and met up with. And I mean, if they had any kind of faith in her, it was betrayed, because not only did she end up getting all of that leaked, and now everybody knows, and they're probably going to be in some form of trouble, but also she was, like, leveraging her proximity with them to keep her, like, bad past from being leaked. The voice note is crazy. I was listening to it, like, jaw dropped. I almost spit out my Dr. Pepper. Like, yeah, you have all the evidence that it's me, but, like, the question is, what are you going to do with it? Like, are you going to expose me? Because you can't do that without hurting the girls. You know that, right? You are 30. You are 30 years old, leveraging your relationship and the reputations of teenagers to early 20-year-olds who you run multiple social media accounts you basically worship them on. She also keeps calling people old. She went after, like, multiple creators for their age because they were in their 30s. Like, she went after Dizzy, who's, like, I think 3 years older than her, and she went after another creator I saw who's 2 years older than her. Like, how young does she think she looks to be saying all that? Which brings me to my fear of her fan base. Now, I don't actually have, like, a fear of hate comments or whatever. For the most part, I find them just, like, annoying. Sort of like bed bugs, how, like, once they get there, they just really don't go away. They're really hard to get rid of. Like, that's basically how they've been haunting Dizzy. And honestly, I just, like, don't want to deal with that. And I knew I'd have to if I made a video, because one, she goes looking, she'd find it. And two, I agreed with, like, 3 of the creators that she sicked her fans on, so I knew that I would be next if I got involved. So my hat stayed firmly on my head. I did not throw it into the ring. I was not about to make it worse by opening myself up to bunnies in my comments spewing mini gym propaganda. But I mean, hey, she's basically in, like, full lockdown mode now because she's been thoroughly humiliated. So hey, I guess another criminal off the streets.
This is another topic I didn't cover, and I actually had folks calling me biased for not discussing it. Those people clearly weren't regular viewers because I've said on multiple occasions I don't cover other creators. This Tally Toki thing blew up way more than even I could have imagined, though. After it was revealed she met up with Honey and Danielle secretly, it became a global story that even Korean news outlets were reporting. Let me just say this. I have no issue with Tally's opinion on the New Jeans case. She's entitled to that, but I do take issue with the other allegations against her, like doxing and spreading hate. This may sound dramatic, but I think she's kind of a sacrificial lamb. What I mean by that is she was made to take the fall for every fucked up thing Tokis have done to ILLIT, Lesserafim, and even groups like BTS. She kind of became a scapegoat for a year's worth of frustration people had with the New Jeans fandom, and I don't envy that position.
So I just watched the New Jeans BBC interview that they did, and I'm going to be honest, this was a terrible idea. This was a terrible idea for them to do this interview days before, like a week before their trial date for their lawsuit against Hybe and Adore. Now, BBC stated in that interview video that they did this interview with them before and after the injunction decision, which means that New Jeans, the people around them, and the law firm that's representing them in their trial that they have literally next week against Adore and Hybe, continued this interview knowing the court's decision and knowing the repercussions that this is going to have. And I'm going to be honest with y'all, at this point, my sympathy and my patience for New Jeans is very, very slim. Like, this whole thing is an absolute shit show. At this point, their law firm that's supposed to be representing them, they're dumbasses. They're dumbasses. Why would you let your clients go on a BBC interview, actually any interview in general, days, weeks before your trial date, and do this interview and let them answer those questions like that? You just gave Adore and Hybe ammo to win this court case. Like, any smart, sane lawyer would have never let their clients do this, especially if they're going up against a very big entertainment company and they're trying to get out of a lawsuit. Why the fuck would you do this interview? I just think that this was a terrible idea. And yes, while I support and agree with discussing and like speaking out about workplace harassment and like being, unhappy with things, this was not the way to go about it. You have an upcoming trial. This is not going to help your case whatsoever because you broke the injunction. This is going to be a very interesting trial. I am going to be very interested to see how this plays out in Korean court. This isn't going to go well for them. I mean, it was never going to go well for them. But now it's not. No. They're going to have to pay back Adore and Hybe. Even if this contract does get terminated, they're going to have to pay back Adore and Hybe, all the advertisement people, everything. And then they're going to end up having to pay the fines, the legal fees for breaking this injunction. This is a nightmare.
Listen, the girls will make their own decisions because it's their life. They'll have to live with the ups and downs of their choices, but my opinion is they should have sought new legal counsel ages ago. The BBC and Time magazine interviews were unforced errors. Their legal team should have advised them against it. Maybe they did and the girls didn't listen. I don't know. What I do know is that some of their comments massively backfired in Korea, and they can't afford to have this much scandal going into their next court hearing. They're already trying to come back from a legal setback, so the last thing they need is a public opinion setback. I'm not Korean, never even been to Korea, so I will leave that discourse to domestic fans. It's not my place to impose, but I know how brutal K-nets can be, so I hope things don't go too far. I can't say anything more than I already have.
This man really had the audacity to get up in here and cry in somebody's face. Bitch, shut the fuck up. Fuck you, fuck your mama, fuck your daddy. You are suing that girl's family for 12 billion Korean won. Fuck you.
I mean, Yeah, that pretty much sums it up. But of course, everyone deserves their day in court. So on a base level, I can accept if he wants to pursue legal action. But let's just point out how Kim Seren took full responsibility for her actions and was actively working to right her wrongs. She was held accountable by the legal system and accepted the consequences of what she did. She wasn't allowed any grace or forgiveness. This guy is crying like he's the ultimate victim, but we know the real victim is no longer with us. Like I've said in the past, let this be a lesson on how we engage with celebrity scandals going forward. Let's correct people with love and not from a spirit of hate. Let's allow people to grow and feel that growth so they can expand on it. Rest in peace to that young woman.
A lot of y'all place your comfortability over morality in K-pop, and it's deeply upsetting. Yerin from Everglow had recently come forward saying that she has not gotten paid in the past 6 years for Everglow. I want you to think about that. She is the member that has the most solo promotion. She promoted in China for a year and a half by herself on shows, on variety shows, on modeling, on this and that and the third. Everglow themselves, from debut up until COVID, because that's when people stopped giving a fuck, and even then it's until 2021. But their title tracks, Adios, Dun Dun, La Di Di Da, Bumbo Chocolate, generated hundreds of millions of views, hundreds of millions in streams. They're one of the biggest fourth gen groups that are not a part of the big four, and they haven't gotten paid. Mind you, she's also chatting, I think it's Bubble, but either way, she's chatting on one of those chats where you have to pay to talk to the artist. Where is that money going to? Because that money's directly supposed to go to the idol. Unfortunately, we need to come to the harsh reality of a lot of these idols are not getting paid for their work. It happened with Luna, it happened with Everglow. Your idol is probably not getting paid for their shit. And some Everglow fans wanted to plan a boycott because obviously this shit is ridiculous. And of course, it gets pushed back and people are like, oh, I'm not gonna boycott because, there's other groups under Yuhua and it would just be hard to organize a boycott. Plus, it would do the girls more harm than good. And I want to ask a very fair question. If they haven't gotten paid, what's the worst that can happen to them? Y'all are saying it's gonna hurt the group, it's gonna hurt the group. How if they haven't gotten paid? What, oh, they're thrown in the dungeon as if Everglow hasn't been in the dungeon for the past 10 years already? Y'all don't want to be uncomfortable. Y'all don't want to do these sacrifices for your own comfortability, because there is quite literally no reason for you to say that it could potentially hurt Everglow. In what capacity if they have not gotten paid for the past 6 years? Imagine you do that much work and you haven't gotten paid at all. People are chatting to you every single day and you know for a fact they get paid to chat to you and you're not getting that money. And the same thing can be said with Vicha. KG is in the middle of a lawsuit with JYP over serious allegations. Breaking child labor laws in California, literally having terrible conditions for Vicha to the point that one of them was to the point of ODing. Yet people are still saying, I will support Vicha, I will stream to support the other girls. How is that supporting? Quite frankly, break it down to me, because at this point I feel dumb as shit. How is it supporting if you know that these are the conditions that they are being forced upon? You have no way of confirming that these conditions are not continuing. No one's saying a boycott has to be indefinite. You can just have a boycott for the sake of, I'm not giving you my money until you break down what is going on.
Getting K-pop fans to organise in a way that matters and isn't just performative is like pulling teeth. Now, I don't blame anyone who wants to continue supporting the other members of Visha or put money into Everglow. I just need you to acknowledge the truth of your actions, though. The truth is you don't care about mistreatment and abuse the way you pretend to. You would never put standing up for the rights of artists above your own fanhood. It's totally fine if that's your position, but just be honest about that. Saying a boycott will hurt a group that just told you they ain't making any damn money is just illogical coping born out of cognitive dissonance. Girl, just say you don't care and go.
Do you think New Jeans still has a chance to win over Adore? As a lawyer, I don't think so. Yeah, New Jeans has 0% of possibility winning against Adore. Yeah, not because I support one side, one party. If you ask me whether you choose Adore or New Jeans, definitely New Jeans. I'm a really big fan of New Jeans. I love those idol group. Yeah, those girls. However, as a lawyer, I have my own expertise. Yeah, and I cannot lie or I cannot just hide my objective perspective opinion to you. They will lose. Yeah, in fact, it's just contract 101. If I just ask differently, what happens if New Jeans win? Then nobody has to respect the contract, even your rent contract. You can just burn down the house, or you can just quit and move out whenever you want, or you can stay in your house no matter how the landlord insists that, hey, the contract is already over. You can do whatever you want, yeah, regardless of what the contract says. It's that weak. The New Jeans argument is that weak. As a lawyer, no contract lawyer, no expert lawyer or any legal expert thought New Jeans would win. Only New Jeans fans who just want to see the facts that they want to see, and those who are not supporting New Jeans genuinely, yeah, they supported New Jeans' argument. Yeah, none of the conscious, logical, observers believe that New Jeans should win. Yeah, it's this clear. Yeah.
I think that's a good video to end on. I'm not trying to loop on the same points over and over. You guys know I predicted all this shit for months, and this outcome was obvious to anyone paying attention. I had hoped that maybe the girls could see a different perspective, but I truly believe they don't want to. Plus, they seemingly don't care about having to pay massive penalties or take lashings to their public image. If they don't care about the consequences of their actions, well shit, I guess neither do I. I won't be doing much commentary videos going forward. I'll only be discussing the legal stuff because I don't have much commentary. It's all been said already by me or others. I'm monitoring KG's case against JYP Entertainment, Min Hee-jin's various lawsuits, and of course the Adore contract dispute with New Jeans. I'm going to focus on the legal analysis and maybe help explain some things in layman's terms from the perspective of someone who isn't a lawyer. I'm just a fan like you guys, figuring it out as I go along, and I'm always so grateful that you guys find my videos informative and entertaining. That's all for now. I'm not sure when my next video will be, but I appreciate you subscribing and staying tuned. I'll see you all in the next one.